You ever look at a map and wonder what stories are hiding there? Some of the most amazing American stories are written right on the landscape, just waiting for us to find them. Today, we're going to uncover one of those stories, the hidden history of a place called Gouldtown.
Okay, so check this out. This is a map of early black settlements in New Jersey. A lot of them pop up in the 1800s, which makes sense. But you see that one, number 6 right there? That's Gouldtown. And its story? Well, it starts so early, it kind of flips what we think we know about America's beginnings on its head. All right, to really get this, we've got to put on our detective hats. And our first piece of evidence is the place itself.
And right off the bat, we know Gouldtown wasn't some kind of legend or myth. Nope, here it is, clear as day on an old map from the 1800s. It was a real, documented community with really deep roots right there in the landscape of southern New Jersey.
You know, the real heart of any town is its people, right? And at the Gouldtown Cemetery, this memorial, this is where we get our next big clues. Check out these names: Gould, Pierce, Murray. These are way more than just names carved in stone. Think of them as threads that are going to lead us to a history that is, believe me, surprisingly complex.
So this is the big question, isn't it? Who were these people? And how on earth, in a time of widespread colonialism and slavery, did they manage to build a free, land-owning community, one that would last for centuries? Okay, to get those answers, we've got to follow the paper trail. Time to dig into the archives and find the real people behind those names.
Okay, wow. This right here, this is a total game changer. It's a letter from a student back in 1991, and it hands us our biggest clue yet. The writer flat out describes the people of Gouldtown as a mixed heritage community of, and I'm quoting, Indian, Negro, and European descent. So boom, right there. This one letter tells us we're not looking at a single story. We're looking at where several stories cross paths.
So how in the world did that happen? Look at these two guys. On the left, you've got Major John Fenwick, an English colonist from the 1600s. On the right, that's Theophilus Gould Stewart, a major black intellectual from the 1800s. I mean, they couldn't seem more different, right? Worlds apart. But what if I told you they are directly related, like by blood? The connection? It all comes down to the land.
So our trail jumps across the Atlantic, all the way back to 17th century England. We're about to meet the man who, without even knowing it, kicked this whole incredible story off.
All right, let's meet the guy, Major John Fenwick. So he's an English Quaker, and he sails to America looking for a fresh start. In 1675, he sets up a colony in what we now call West New Jersey. And this is the key part. This makes him the first colonial owner of the exact piece of dirt where our story unfolds.
This painting here shows how Fenwick's American journey began, with a land deal he made with the local Lenni Lenape people. And it's this very piece of land, this is the foundation for literally everything else that's about to happen.
And here's the proof. I mean, you can't get much better than this. It's an actual handwritten deed from 1712. You can see it right there. It talks about the Indian purchase of 5,000 acres of land made by John Fenwick East. This document locks it in. It's the legal starting point for the land that would one day become Gouldtown.
Okay, so we've got the guy and we've got the land. But how do we get from an English Quaker colonist to a free, mixed heritage community hundreds of years later? The answer, it turns out, is in the family tree.
So now we're really digging into the genealogy. This document here lists John Fenwick's kids. And there's one name I want you to zero in on. His daughter, Elizabeth Fenwick. She is the absolute key, the first link in this whole chain. Okay, so the records show Elizabeth marries a guy named John Adams. And here's the crucial part. They pack up and move from England to West Jersey in 1675. Does that year sound familiar? It should. It's the exact same year her dad set up his colony. So just like that, the Fenwick family line is now physically on the land we're talking about.
All right, get ready for the last piece of the puzzle. This is a microfilm record of the Gould family. Remember that name from the cemetery? And look where they're from, Cumberland County, New Jersey. This record, and a bunch of others, proves that the Goulds were living in this very same area for generations.
And here it is, the aha moment. Over the years, the descendants of John Fenwick, the English Quaker, started marrying into local families, and that included families with African and Native American roots. families just like the Goulds. Do you see what this means? Gouldtown wasn't some random accident. It was what happened when different families lived side by side on the same land for generations. They created something totally new, totally unique, a free, land-owning American community.
And this amazing story didn't just fade away. Oh no. This community didn't just survive, it thrived. So let's take a look at the incredible legacy of Gouldtown.
Hey, remember this guy from the beginning? Let's bring him back. This is Theophilus Gould Stewart, and now we know the full story. He is a direct descendant of the Gouldtown families, which means he is also a direct descendant of Major John Fenwick. And what did he do? He became a famous author, a professor, and one of the first black chaplains in the U.S. Army. I mean, talk about a living, breathing example of this incredible hidden history. I mean, just look at this timeline. It really shows you how huge this story is. It all kicks off in 1675 with a Quaker colony. Then, through the 1700s, you have families putting down roots. By the 1800s, this community is producing national leaders. And get this, even as late as 1928, on his death certificate, Theophilus Stewart's home is listed as Bridgeton, New Jersey. That's a direct connection to Gouldtown that lasted for almost 250 years. Just wow. You know, the story of Gouldtown is just incredible proof that our history is so much more complicated and honestly so much more connected than we usually think. It really makes you wonder, right? How many other stories just like this one are hiding in plain sight? You know, in a simple town name, on an old tombstone, or tucked away in a dusty old deed, just waiting for someone to come along and piece it all together.